Justin.
I'm Paul. Hello.
Hello, Paul. How are you? It feels like it's been forever. I don't know why.
It really feels like it, even though it's not that much time, but it's been a bit since we've talked.
Yes, right. This kind of like the way we've been doing our podcasting is a little bit different lately, but I think it still gets you just as much content as before. If it's first time here, then welcome. Thank you for joining. Paul, what are we doing today? What are we doing? What's our episode about?
Today we're talking about our favorite bad TV shows. So these are like guilty pleasure TV shows. TV shows that we know aren't great, but we still like them, still watch them anyways.
That's right.
And if you don't know, this is the podcast where we take a topic like that and do some research and talk to each other about why that bad TV show is our favorite.
That's right.
So, yeah, we've got lots of fun stuff to talk about today. But where can people find more out? It was very difficult.
Yeah, it was a hard one. But we always get through it. We have these hard ones, and we always get through it. And you can go check out a lot of those hard things that we've answered in the past over at our Patreon page.
You can see our difficulties made manifest. Yes, you can find other cool things on there as well besides those. And you can also become a patron, like 8-Bit Sean and Mac40K Painting and Josh Benoit, and all of our honorable mentions. So thank you all for your support. We love doing this show. We can't wait to just keep making more for you.
Yes, thank you so much. No, it's been a blast doing this show, and I look forward to doing this one and see where it goes, because like I said, this is the hard one. But this has been very fun.
We
always make it work, and it's always a good time. So, but before we get deep into the nitty gritty of the show, you have something for me, I think.
I do. I have a little bit of a surprise topic. I'm going to do something a little bit different, though.
Good.
Shake things up just a tiny little bit.
Okay.
Normally, I only ask you a surprise question at the beginning, when we do this at the very beginning of the show. But I have an after you have said your favorite surprise question for you, related in some way to this first part. Okay? So this is kind of like a two-part question. You could think of it. So
layers.
First part of this. Yeah, I know, many layers, and it makes you weep as you observe it. So, just out of curiosity, this first part is just like, I've got really like 2.5 questions. But which of the shows that you consider your favorite bad TV shows, whether they're shout outs or honorable mentions, or your favorite, which of them have you watched, or have you watched any of them recently? When was the last time you watched this guilty pleasure?
I have to say, I'll be honest with you. I mean, one of the ones I talked about, I did watch recently because it came out a few years ago.
Okay.
But most
recently to me. Let me define recently for you.
Like this year?
For you. Yeah.
No, none of them are this year.
None of them this year. Okay, all right. Then I guess you got to widen the search field then.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't watch as many TV. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. It's like I pick and choose. Like, I try to find like a better one. I mean, I have a plethora of anime I could probably throw out at you right now, but I don't even know where to go. But in the one I'm thinking of is an anime. So, I mean, it's anime kind of comes out a lot. So like you have like these like 13 episode seasons. So there's a lot of like, I mean, I enjoy them, but they're not. I wouldn't say they're great or wonderful. There's some that are kind of bad. You watch them for certain reasons. We've had this conversation. But as far as like other shows, I don't watch them as much as I used to. I spend more time, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to find shows lately.
Okay.
And I didn't finish Game of Thrones, so I can't count that.
Oh, okay. No, calling it a bad show. Listen, that show had a lot of promise. And you know what? I'm actually like rereading. I'm out through audiobooks. I'm like listening to the books again when I have some spare time or when I'm driving, and I'm surprising myself like by thinking like there are some clues in here that the creators, those showrunners, used to kind of craft that final season and the finale. And I'm like, it's not like they came up with it like out of nowhere. They tried to come up with their own ending based on what they knew. And
no, I'm just making a joke. Though. I know it's a good show.
Anyway,
from what I watched, it was a good show. So in my eyes, it was a good show.
It is. It's still good television. I mean, even though it does change and not really for the better, it's still a lot better than some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. That's for sure.
As far as because I don't like a lot of the older shows from the '90s or the '80s, or you go farther back, they were pretty bad, but they weren't for the time. Like they're pretty cheesy, or they didn't know how to really do well because we've talked about this in other shows too. Like it's like they were meant to be a certain kind of like sampler commercial. They weren't just like it was very sporadic. It's sporadic. It was a different kind of storytelling. You know, when you have like a short, syndicated show, it's a little bit different than nowadays when you get like these like kind of really like almost like movie style like TV shows now that are big.
When I mean, like you have to kind of give Netflix credit for some of that at least to help like push television and HBO certainly to like push television to like movie levels of production. So I mean, maybe that might help you answer this other half of the question. Thinking about like that show that you've watched recently, how would you improve it? How would you make that maybe if it seems like it's too much of its time, or like if there's something wrong with it, you're like, well, this show has flaws. Like, what would you do to fix that show?
Well,
let's say it's going to come out tomorrow. They're going to like re-release it or
something.
Well,
that one I wouldn't change. The one I was thinking of, there's a reason for that, but I would keep it the way it is.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
There's another one. There's a series of shows that I might talk about. I guess it's more modern, like not from the '90s. And what I would have changed for that is and we'll get to that maybe later. I don't know. But they end up like adding too many characters, changing the characters. They kind of got a little crazy with spin-offs of the same show, and all of a sudden you had like a ton of different shows and more characters that came into this show and that show and this show and this. It's like it just got. But I get why that happened, but like that's sort of what made me fall off a little bit. It just sort of like became, it became tiresome and old, and that's. A lot of shows, though, I got really into like that were kind of like that. I kind of moved away from because I just got it was almost the same. It got kind of like samey, almost a little bit.
I think tiresome is a good word because you do just get like sick of it. You're like done with you for a while. Like I've had enough. Like you've pushed me as far as you could push me. I'm done. Like there's only so much time I'll invest in.
Like you. I like the new way of television. The only downside about the new stuff is that it's like there's a lot of it. So it's like I don't know where to pick it. It's like hard to pick and choose, and I don't want to like waste my time.
And everybody is saying you got to do this, you got to see this one. Like, I can't believe you haven't seen Stranger Things yet. I'm like, but I've got like 1,000 things on my list to see.
Wait, I still will say that to you too, and I haven't finished it, so you should watch
it. I haven't gotten through the first episode.
You gotta.
I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not. I know what it is, and I know what it's trying to appeal to, and all of its references and callbacks. And I'm like, great. I just don't have the time for you.
I know. No, I same thing here. I struggle. I haven't finished second season with that show, but it's a good show. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Fair enough. Well, I will save the other part of my question for after. I was actually waiting for like to mention a specific show. So I'm gonna bring up a specific show.
I was trying not to bring one up, but okay, I could do that if you want.
This one's not on my list at all.
Okay.
But it is a guilty pleasure show, and that's like. It's kind of embarrassing too. All right, well,
listen closely.
Not that. It's not like that.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, I'm recording. Go ahead. Say
you didn't double check. We were listeners. If you knew how many times I've made Justin double check we were recording.
What is it? What is it, Paul?
All right. I know it's good for a variety of reasons, but it's also really bad. And if you've ever tried to like sit back and like really watch the episodes, they're bad. It's the animated X-Men series.
Oh, okay.
All right.
They're bad.
They are bad. Okay, but we loved it. It was the first of its kind.
And again,
for us.
It's all about time and place. Like I watched the first couple episodes with my kids a week ago. So I guess I guess I didn't consider that a bad show, so I couldn't bring that up. But like,
I mean,
they
like,
liked
it's
it.
just
It's who it's for. Like, I could have gone nuts with like a ton of Nickelodeon shows in this conversation, but I wasn't sure what we're
that's
doing
true.
with the show. Maybe that's where we go. There's no rules.
Mm.
So, but yeah, they were kind of weirdly made and paced. But honestly, it was a great X-Men show for its time. You know, like that's
For its time, sure,
yeah,
sure. But I mean, like it's guilty of a lot of the things we leveled at anime. Like you're just filling time, you're reusing footage, you're just kind of like treading
I
water.
think
Your
that's
animation style randomly changes every
sure,
few episodes.
sure.
It's like
The
they gave
colors.
like yeah, like and then like the motions too. Like all of a sudden they get like really like hyper motion. Like it's
Yep.
like when did this happen?
Yeah.
It's like every 3 to 4 episode arc they would change the artist. Anyway, so what I would do to improve this show is I would focus on 5 X-Men and focus on like a couple stories, but I wouldn't make new characters. I wouldn't bring in new characters. I would just be introducing the X-Men. I would do very little with Wolverine because as much as I like the character, he's kind of boring. I would do much more. They always want to do everything through. We talked about this. Like they always want to do everything through Wolverine's perspective.
Yep. Because
But
it's popular. Why not?
they just like they put Beast in jail in the first episode, and then you don't see him
That's
again
it.
until like the second season.
You're just upset. Well, no, but I like the Beast in jail thing. Like I didn't mind that because he kind of like
Yeah, when they showed him like
Yeah,
once in
sure.
a blue moon,
Yeah.
like yeah, it's great. And then he goes like he has his like Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment
that
where he's
show
like
does
talking in
get-
front of Congress.
that show does get kind of bonkers at the end. Like when I stopped watching, I think at one point, and then like all of a sudden I like watched there's 50 of them with costumes just chasing you, flying around. It's just like
It's
like
the
a sm-
Shi'ar. It's
it's
the
it's
the
like
space
a
stuff.
it's
when
like a
they go to space.
smorgasbord of just them just doing things, and I'm just like, what are they fighting for anymore?
Yeah.
What
They're
happened?
fighting
to,
in space.
What happened to? I mean, I love the Phoenix Saga of that show. It's great, but it's like, yeah, I get you. But again, it's like a 22-minute show. They're trying to cram in some heavy stuff for a kids show. Honestly, you watch the first couple episodes, and it's like you're talking about
Yeah.
politics and like foster kids
That's
and
where
parenthood, and like it's like the first episode alone has like 3 things. I'm just like, I didn't even know this stuff existed.
That's where where they should have stayed too. Was in like the Sons of Humanity, that ultra radical group that was like targeting mutants and like trying to blame mutants for all of the world's problems. And like I feel like that was a better angle, like how you bring Jubilee in and all that stuff. Like, anyways,
So here's
there
the
are
fun.
ways you
Okay,
can
I'm
improve
gonna
these shows.
I'm gonna give away my show that I said I watched recently that had too many characters and had too many spin-offs.
Oh, please do.
Because I feel like it just makes sense to talk in this conversation. It's all the Arrowverse shows. Okay, it's Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl.
Supergirl. Yeah.
Yeah, because she came in there later because they made the show for CW and then they found a way to kind of bring it together. The shows are really good. Like, it's the thing. Like, why is it considered a bad show? I mean, yeah, there's some cheesy acting but like the effects are good. It's a good superhero show. But then like it just got too superhero-y for me and too like I don't know, just too many characters. Like the same old thing. Like because you start off with Arrow because it kind of stems from Oliver Queen.
Green Arrow. Yep.
Which the first 2 seasons of Arrow are phenomenal because they kind of kept it in this like kind of like that Christian Bale sort of mentality, like kind of more grounded, a little bit more like less like you would never expect the Flash to show up, kind of a thing. Yeah, you had Ra's al Ghul in there eventually, but like it's just like it was more of a like kind of a rougher version of him. And then they bring the Flash in, which was awesome, and the first season of the Flash was awesome. But then it just got like it was all about it almost became like the comic books where it just got so confusing. You felt like you had to watch every show because they had all these crossovers. Like, well, they're gonna cross over with Supergirl. This, and I'm just like, and the show's supposedly going still on. Arrow just had a series finale finally. I think after like 8 seasons.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and
it was still going.
yeah, no, it's just like they they keep some of the characters in, and I don't know how many Black Canaries they've had. It's like one of them dies, one of them comes back, one of them comes over here. Like it's just the actors just kind of just share the same underwear for like 3 seasons. It's like, you know.
It's like the Defense Against the Dark Arts post. Like you just have a new one every season, just like a new Black Canary.
But like the storylines are good and the characters are good, and like I mean, like, the show wasn't horrible. It's just like I think the showrunnerness of it was meant initially. It was that transition. It went from being on television. It was that kind of that weird kind of on the CW, but then become binge worthy. But then CW doesn't let you binge it, so it's like we had to wait until the next season to binge it. It's like it was like we wanted just to binge that show. It was actually a very good show to binge because like it had cliffhangers and you kind of want to think, oh, who's that? Who's this? Who's this? And that. And like, oh no, what's that going to be? It's like, it had that good stuff, but like I just got so. It just kind of became like one of those things. Like, okay, I got to push that aside because I like this show. I still liked it, but I just wasn't committed enough with all the other things of being a father and a parent, and that's really a big thing why I don't watch television as much. It's like I just don't have time to do that stuff anymore.
And you really have to prioritize your time. Like you got a limited amount of time for
so I watch a lot
yourself. It's like
crappy anime, so I don't so I don't have to think too much.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for answering and using a specific example. I appreciate that for this.
Well, you brought up X-Men, so I had to bring in the Arrowverse. It seemed like a good.
I mean,
DC versus Marvel. I had to bring that battle in there.
I really wish I want to mention. Okay, I'll just say it here. Well, yeah, I'll say it here. Like the real it was one I was going to shout out, and that's Scrubs.
Okay, I never got into that show.
That I got into that show so hard too when it was on Comedy Central and syndication. Like I was watching it was like The Simpsons. They would show like 2 episodes back to back.
Sure.
Like 3 times a day. So I was watching a full season every week. Like it felt like I was just watching like season after season of the show, and trying to watch it as like the new episodes, as the current season was going. I was just like, they're still doing this?
Yeah.
Like this is bad.
Those doctor shows go on forever, I feel like.
Oh my gosh.
And
it's like the character it's a symptom of any sitcom where you have like a formula that works. They're like, okay, well let's just keep doing that formula over and over and over again until people hate it.
Yep.
And I think the ones that last are the ones that like change periodically and like characters morph or like become different characters by the end of the series. Whereas like Scrubs was like, it's not even like that it's silly. It's like it's goofy humor. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not like Children's Hospital on Adult Swim, which is actually just absurd and like extreme. It's taking those doctor shows to the extreme.
There's this
it's just like this weird goofy thing.
It's funny because there's this Facebook thing I always see pop up sometimes. It's like this actual doctor that he'll sit and watch sitcom scenes.
Oh, like real doctor watches.
Watches these things,
comments.
And so he watches the first episode of Scrubs, and he pauses it and says, this is actually what we would do. Like we would go around this and like when they do their rounds and stuff. He almost gives a sense of like, okay, this is where that comes from, and then he'll just picks on things. It's like I don't understand why are we doing morphine this and this for this situation? It doesn't make any sense.
They're killing that man.
I just like the way he picks it apart. It's just really funny to me. It's just really really funny, and
they gave him a fatal dose.
Yeah,
it's like
but no, I never got the Scrubs. I watched a couple episodes here and there, but I just kind of couldn't get into that show. The one thing I will note about that show is the main girl, the blonde haired girl. She used to be on Lonely Island.
Yes,
and they used to
calling her the wrong name.
They used to make fun of her or something like that in the later skits. It's like you left us for she's like the doctor's
that's
show.
Right, because she was in that the Boo, like the Malibu, like a Laguna Beach style show.
Right, the Boo. That's
and
right.
she was not in the episode, so they used a puppet for one episode of her. You remember that? Yep. Oh my god!
Yep.
And it was so good because I think it was her voice. Still, she was like going to drive drunk, and they're like, "Give me your keys. You're not driving." She's like, I just had a few, Brian. I'm fine. And it's like a puppet. Like, I have to go.
Oh, God. We'll
Oh,
always
so good.
find a way to bring the Lonely Island into this somehow, I guess. But anyway,
those are better than Scrubs. Those probably have aged better than Scrubs.
that's true.
Because they're making fun of bad television. They're bad reality California themed shows, the OC and Laguna Beach. All right. I think we're suitably warmed up.
Yes.
Do you feel pretty warm?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm glad we got
Good.
a couple things out of the way.
So,
I see how this is going now. I'm ready to get going on this.
all right.
This journey.
All right. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with our honorable mentions.
You're now recording. Hands are up there.
Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back. Now, let us begin, Justin. Let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of our actual favorite bad TV shows. So, you want to tell me what your first honorable mention is?
Yes, I think this would be a fun. I mean, I don't even know what my favorite yet is. I'm just kind of playing it, as we go. We'll see what happens. I have ones that are up on my list.
You're playing the game of favorites?
Yes, I am playing the game of favorites.
Our chess game, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know if we're playing chess today. I feel like it's just like throwing things out and see what happens.
You're playing Parcheesi and I'm playing Bocce. Like we're playing just two different games, two different fields.
So I want to start off with a shout out because I feel like I like starting off with shout outs because it's like tests the water. It's a little bit.
Dip a toe in. Go ahead.
I want to shout out Celebrity Deathmatch. Like I don't know what it was. The show is horrible. It really is not that good of a show. It really is really bad. And I feel like I brought this up once maybe in our show, like briefly. And I have nothing much to say about it except I was always excited for Celebrity Deathmatch at halftime for the Super Bowl. Like had you were ramped up like who's gonna win against this dude and this dude, like these two, like it was just like
it was like Marilyn Manson versus Charles Manson. It's like okay, sure, who will win?
Like they would bring because I think that was all they used to initially. It was only they would do it during Super Bowl. I feel like there was like 2 Super Bowls they only did the Celebrity Deathmatch. But then it was like an
MTV only thing too. Like you had to flip over to MTV, and they would have the little counter at the bottom be like time until like the end of halftime. I love that because they did a Beavis and Butthead halftime special, and I remember watching that, like asking my family, like, "Can we please watch the Beavis and Butthead one?" And they were so pissed off. They were like, "Nothing is happening in this show. We're putting it back on the halftime show." So they didn't get to watch Beavis and Butthead at halftime.
But I just always remember that show, and I just because there really wasn't much to it. Like it was just wrestling in claymation, and you just got to see crazy things fighting. Like you didn't get to see that much back then, like that. I guess. Like,
no, it was weird because it was claymation, which was cool enough to hook us in already because it's like an interesting animation style.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like celebrities. It was like people that we knew, but they would always be like a weird connection. I'm trying to remember.
The one I remember is like
they had Puff Daddy versus somebody else. I can't remember who he was, but he kept throwing records of like the records that he sampled on his songs. He was like, "Hey, Led Zeppelin, Kashmir," boom, and like threw it, and it was like like a ninja star, like cut somebody up.
And you had like I'm looking at like the battles here, see if they have.
I'm sure they have them all listed out somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. But like Gilbert Gottfried's on there, Jack Nicholson was on there, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Gilbert Gottfried fight.
I'm trying to think. Temporary interviewer and co-host. He was very professional, though at times selfish. That's what Wikipedia says.
Oh, sounds like a good description of Gilbert Gottfried, I guess. Nice, but a little selfish.
So Stone Cold Steve Austin was actually on it. Like he would actually voice his own character. Vince McMahon was on there too. But no, I just thought that was just a ridiculous, stupid show that really is just meant for just living out these stupid fantasies that middle schoolers kind of thought up one of these days. Like, what would have happened if these two fight?
Exactly. It is that lunchroom conversation of like, what if this guy fought this dude? Like, what would happen? Well, like this is exactly what people still do to this day. Are you kidding? Like they do it all over the internet. Well, they do it like, well, of course Rey wouldn't win against Kylo Ren. He's a trained Jedi. Like he's a trained Jedi. Like he would never lose to a girl. It's like, Okay, but we're talking about like a made-up space opera show, like movie here. Like, really,
He was
who would
injured. He was.
actually win? Yes, and you have the people that are like, he was injured.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm like, I know. Like,
Okay.
I didn't care. I was watching a movie.
I
Like,
know.
who was like, just total
But
Mary Jane.
so, anyways, my first honorable mention here is I want to just throw out my first only I think live reality TV show that I ever really got into.
Live reality. Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know why I said live, but like reality TV show, like just
All
this
right.
is
All right.
before reality TV shows were really a thing, like a
Okay.
huge
So
thing.
one of the early ones.
That show is Road Rules.
Oh fuck, dude! That show rules.
It does
That
roll.
show rules. This is the first 2 seasons of Road Rules. Oh my god, yeah, because they had the Real World, which
Yep.
was like the first real like reality show. Just like pick 8 strangers to live in a house, and then they had the Road Rules, was just like the same thing, but we're road trip.
Yep.
Good choice, man.
And
Good choice.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It was made.
Fuck, I love that show. Why didn't I pick Road Rules? Damn it!
This idea, though, actually was made by the people from like that show, like the character, the people that were on the show.
Oh, they pitched the idea.
So, like, was created by Jonathan Murray. Okay, the series was a pioneer travel. I read it somewhere on here. Where did it say? I swear it's what I saw was. It was like based on the people that were on that show. Like they thought of this idea. I read it somewhere. Now I can't find it. Like I lost it.
So like a few of them were like, "Hey, this is an interesting idea. Like we should film it."
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
I love the first 2 seasons of that. I know that they did like Real World Road Rules Challenge and all sorts of bullshit.
They did
afterwards.
Road Rules versus Real World. I think at one point. This is 14 seasons the show had. Like it's nuts. Yeah, 14.
I cannot tell you anything other than like what happened in the first 2 seasons. Yeah, I didn't even know there was that many.
Like I mean the show like is literally just them being filmed and them doing things and being like it's like that
they
kind
gave
of
them like little assignments to do, like go to this roadside stand.
That was the part I liked, but I'm just saying they still had to have that documentary, like I'm hitting on this girl and we're having this fling and we went.
Yep.
They do the censorship where they go on a spa and the girls are all naked and it's
blurs.
like it was such a that part was what made it bad is the reality part, but the actual concept of it. Was
the challenges,
and like I guess they actually started with no money too. Like they just give them an RV with no money. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize they had no money initially. I forgot about that part. And then they just travel from location to location. They have to find clues of what they literally go like, okay, go here, and they have to like investigate to see what their clue is and find out where to do and where to go and what their job is. It's like work in this catfish place, make a lobster, like things like that.
Yes, it was. They had like these weird like little mini assignments, but they were all at like roadside attractions or like some small town stuff, and it'd be like, okay, you city slickers are gonna help us like feed the hogs, and then they all like feed the hogs, and somebody slips in the mud. But one of my favorite, dude, like I remember that first season so well. The character Carlos, when they were at like dinner at one of the characters, I forget her name. They were going to pass her family's house, so they're like, you can stop there, and you're going to see your family, and you're going to stay for one night and have dinner with them.
I remember that.
And it was just like a normal family dinner. It wasn't like a reality show thing. It was just like, yeah, this is what we're having for dinner. Just come and sit at the table and eat.
Yep.
And then we're gonna go to sleep, and then we're gonna hit the road. And it's like,
but I remember they made it seem like
they
made it seem like a kind of like a good wholesome moment or something like that. No, I did find it though. So the idea of Real Worlds came to mind when Real World castmates John Brennan, Tammy Akbar. That her name is Tammy Akbar.
It's a trap.
Dominic Griffin traveled in an RV across the United States to get to the Real World Los Angeles house in the first 2 episodes. So they came up with the idea on their way to the show.
The people who were on the Real World came up with the idea for the Road Worlds on their way to the Real World.
Yeah.
2-star in the Real World. Oh, that's funny. Dude, I forgot about those shows. Those shows had me hooked. Like the first few seasons of the Real World, the first couple seasons of Road Rules.
Mm-hmm. Like
Oh man, good choice.
just because that show there made me. I understand people's like obsession with some reality TV shows really bad. Like it's just really really bad.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't get it anymore. But like I mean like then like that show like really made me like again hooked for what a couple years like you said like the first 2 seasons. But oh man, it's just such a. I would love to do something like that. Be like an RV and just go to mission to mission to mission. That seems
I
like a
know.
lot. It seems like a
It's
lot of
like
fun.
geocaching and,
Yeah.
and scavenger hunting, like all in one.
Hmm.
Go and investigate, like so like the giant ball of string
Go
someplace.
knock on that person's door and ask them ask them random questions. It's like, but I love it's so televised too. It's like, hey, we've been expecting you. It's like really.
They answer the door and like nude in a robe,
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing here?
But
Uh,
that's my first.
man.
The first honorable mention.
Oh, good one, good one. My first honorable mention is also a reality show, and this is like I don't know, this is almost my favorite, but I'm actually putting it down as my first honorable mention. Uh, it's Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay.
Oh God,
So
I watched that once. That's once. I say once, but go ahead.
I know, like if you, those of you not watching are just like averting my eyes, like hanging my head in shame. So I know it's cheesy. It's very clearly scripted. It's like the absolute worst in sensationalized reality television. They do like camera shakes and dramatic music.
It's so
Uh,
mean.
it is very mean. It started back like in 2005. It's still going. The last time I saw,
But he has like three other shows.
yeah. Oh, he's got like dozens of shows at this point. Like if you don't count what he's doing in the UK and what he's doing in the United States, if you separate them, like he's
I wonder
guy's making bank.
if you watched all of them, you just start seeing like the same kitchen. Like you just start seeing him do. It's just different angles with the exact same yell. Like you know.
So what's crazy is I learned that he's actually a very congenial person off camera. Like he's actually like the cast and the crew have all said like he knows like that's his persona.
Mm-hmm.
And when the cameras are off, he's just like a genuinely nice person. Like even people that get eliminated, he goes and talks to them after they get eliminated and gives them constructive feedback
Good.
and like tries to give them like something positive to leave with.
But it makes
and
me.
I don't know.
That
I
makes
don't know
me.
any.
Yeah.
I don't know any reality TV show hosts that do that.
Yeah.
But
it makes me kind of hate the show a little bit more. I respect Gordon Ramsay more now that you say that. If that's like, I mean, I'm assuming it's true, but who knows?
Donkey.
What?
It's raw. He calls people donkeys. You don't know.
Yeah, the one thing is that with that GIF I see or the stupid sandwich. It's like he puts his bread on their heads.
Yes.
I'm like, really? Like, come on! Like, it makes me like.
It's because it's so like all right. So he got this reputation in the UK for being a real hard ass, which he was in his restaurants. He was like a real but he comes from like a long line of like chefs and teachers that do that like forge people through like being at their very best all the time. So it's like, yeah, he got a reputation for being kind of like a bad boy, a badass. So he came to an American audience. He's like, okay, you like that? Okay, I'll do that. I'll turn that up to 11 for you.
As the son of a chef, it hurts me. Okay, it hurts my soul a little bit.
But this is what I like about the show. It's not. It's not. These aren't like amazing chefs.
Sure.
These aren't like world-renowned chefs. This is not like Top Chef, which is Kristen's like guilty pleasure.
Or what was that? What was that one show? The American.
This is like Local Chef.
Yeah, Local Chef.
No, I don't know. I just made that up.
Oh,
this is
what's that? What's that? What's the
Japanese?
Was that Top Chef, the Japanese show? The one with
you're thinking of.
I used to love that show.
What is it? Oh, Iron Chef.
Iron Chef.
A great show.
Great show.
That is not a bad show. No one should ever call that a bad show.
It's a wonderful show.
The Japanese dubbed version of it is great, and the English version is great. But I mean, they're just people that worked in the restaurant industry, have cooked and been chefs, maybe held some positions. And they put them on a reality show. And just like anybody on a reality show, they try to make their mark. And this is one show I'm really revealing myself here that I'm like, I could do this. I could be on this show. I would do all right. Maybe I'd get through like the first couple rounds, but I could do this. You know, it's the height of hubris. Though you watch it, and like
I'm just hearing your speech at the end of like getting to the second round. Like I just came here to get the second round. That's all I came here for.
I just came here.
I did my duty. I did what I wanted.
I mean, I really enjoy the moments. Okay, so you know, like he does all the hard ass, like blah blah blah, bullshit stuff. What's really good about the show though is when he actually sits and like teaches them something, and like shows off his skills, because that's like, I mean, he's got. I just really like seeing him, especially, and like other craftspeople, like showing off just how good they are at something, and like seeing their faces like stunned. He takes like a giant salmon, and you know gets the maximum amount of fish off of that salmon with every cut. And I can watch people do that all day. I can watch people do that all day.
I'm loving this episode already because this is the weirdest stuff we've talked about. We're talking about
it really is.
It's like we're talking about cutting salmon and. Like, I mean, it started off normal. We had some X-Men and mutants and stuff like that.
It's a real turn on for me when you get as much meat off the bones as possible without wasting a single bit. Yes, it really floats my boat.
Okay.
So, but I don't know, man. Besides all the
work on my technique.
Besides all the dumpster fire reality show shit that it is, I mean, it actually has some good moments. But I know it's crap. I can't watch it anymore because I know it's crap.
It's so funny because I think people that actually watch it and enjoy that show all know it's like this is kind of bad television.
We're all in on it.
It's like you're all in it.
They take like 5 to 6 hours of filming and they whittle it down to a 45 minute episode. And sometimes they're trying to use the footage to show somebody doing bad, and then that person gets eliminated. It's not like on accident.
You know, I don't watch a lot of these shows. I mean, we used to watch a lot. I mean, I'm probably not bring them up here, but like I used to watch like what was it, the one with they make the blades, like the blacksmith one. There's one like that.
Was that a YouTube show?
No, it's on A&E. Like because we used to have like at work, they used to have A&E shows all the time. So one of them was
I know.
And it's like they have to like to test the blade. They have to like cut some meat. Like they have to like make sure it slices the meat, and, or like it's like it just her hand. Like it's just like weird. Like with the kind of the things that happen that like I don't know how it happened. I've done this a million times. And it's like
I love those shows.
I get the appeal though. I get the appeal.
They try to insert drama into these shows where I don't need it. All I want is to see somebody do their job really well. Like I love those shows where like somebody's like crafting swords. There was some YouTube show. It was a whole channel. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a guy just doing like he would recreate swords and weapons from popular movies. So he made like the Kill Bill katana. He made Conan the Barbarian sword.
Okay.
He would just like make him himself, and then they would show all this footage of him, like testing it, and slicing fruit and melons and big things with swords and stuff. But I'll say it again: I like watching talented people like performing their craft, and as much of the crappy stuff there is in Hell's Kitchen, you still occasionally get to see Gordon Ramsay do something cool, and he's a very talented guy. That's it. That's all I'll say about it.
Okay.
I know. I love it. Hey, I can't help it.
Okay.
I can't watch it, though.
You just...
So bad. I have a lot of feelings about this show.
Well, speaking of swords, I'm going to segue.
Ooh, that's a great segue.
I'm going to segue into my next honorable mention here.
Speaking of swords, my favorite segue.
So there's one show that I watched. Okay, I watched when it came out, and the show released. It came out in 2008. So that's more of a modern-ish show, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess
it's only 12 years ago.
In
in my life, it's a little more modern.
Yes.
But pre-kids, before kids. There was only 2 seasons of this show. I've only watched the first season, but I absolutely loved the first season. I just somehow didn't watch the second one. I don't know why. I don't remember because I don't think I saw it when it released. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. I think I watched it a couple I must have watched it a couple years later because it was when streaming was the thing. Because I watched it on streaming. That's probably what happened. But the show is called Legend of the Seeker. So the Legend of the Seeker was actually like a modern. It was based on a Terry Goodkind series called the Sword of Truth.
Okay.
But it was like trying to be, which could be another thing we talk about later, maybe. But it was trying to be like Hercules or Xena of the
Oh,
modern day
those
world.
style,
Yeah, like that kind of style show.
like an
And
adventurers kind
yeah,
of show.
yeah, like or a fantasy show, like in but on television.
Sure.
The acting's really poor. It's very cheesy. The armor looks ridiculous. Like the
Uh-huh.
effects are a little are better, but there's something about like the chemistry between the three main characters that really appealed to me, and obviously the overarching story. Like I don't really have a lot to say about the show except that I just really liked it and really was like kind of like
Hmm.
really kind of got into that show and really wanted to watch the second season, but for some reason never did. I don't know why. I don't know what made me.
Legend of the
I think
Seeker.
because I think what happened is like he gets like it just like the fact that I knew that the show was ending because like the season comes out, they cancel the show, and then they put it on streaming. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know if I want to just. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna get like satisfied because it's just gonna just like be over and that's it. And I was just like, I'm not gonna watch it. Like I just got disappointed by it.
Do you
But it,
remember when that was a thing though with Netflix? Like, like they would scoop up every like one
crappy
season
thing,
of
yeah,
television that didn't
yeah,
go anywhere. It'd be
yeah,
like, well, don't worry, it'll be on Netflix. Like everybody will watch
yep,
it.
yeah. But no, it was a fun show. I mean, you had like the sorcerer kind of character that was old and wise, but he had like kind of a more peppy in it. He think of like Gandalf, but mix him with like we talked about this on our Patreon page. Go check it out. It's about Back to the Future. It's like mix him with like kind of the look and feel of Doc. So it's like
Doc Brown.
yeah, so like that kind of quality of a character. But then you have like the kind of like the oblivious like knight that doesn't know much about anything. That's like he's the seeker, he's the important person. And then you have this girl that knows everything, or this, but she's I can't remember what her phrase was. She's there's like a thing that she's called like a Constantine or something like that. Not Constantine, but like her ability.
Ace Sedai.
She's like an Aes Sedai, but she's not an Aes Sedai. Um,
Okay.
but she
I
can,
was just happy I
she
said that
can
right.
she pretty much can like make men confess. So, like it was like going through a confession means that like they
She's
pretty much like she took over their like their mind in a sense.
so
Like
she's got a like an invisible lasso of truth.
sure,
Like she can.
no, it doesn't make
Okay.
it doesn't make them tell the truth. It just they call it confession as if it's a religious thing, but it makes her like be able to tell them like control their mind. Like you're going to like almost
So it's
like
like really like okay,
yeah, like almost
okay.
like using the force in a sense. Like it's like okay, you're gonna put your sword down and leave us alone. But she
You can
hates doing
manipulate the
it.
person.
Yeah, she
Okay.
hates doing it because she's a religious zealot or a religious person, and they're all about trying to stop this evil empire and all that stuff. But I don't remember much else about it except
As you do.
yeah, you generally do that in fantasy stories. But
Yeah.
it's based on a story from Terry Goodkind, which I've always like kind of like thought, well, maybe someday I'll read that story because I liked Legend of the Seeker. I'm sure the book's way better, and like, but
Well, somebody loved it enough to try and turn it into a television series,
yeah, yeah.
and like even with like a limited budget and that they tried.
But again, I think it just
So
kind of fell to the nature of like it was trying to be a television show during a time that was transitioning away from that, right? So it's like I just don't think it worked. I don't think people were looking for that type of show at that time, and I think it just kind of fell to because the second season looked really cool because like the end of the first season was really exciting to me. He pretty much gets blind, so like the main character all of a sudden is wearing like a cloth over his eyes the whole entire second season. I never watched it. I just saw pictures. So, but I don't
well,
know
let
much.
me let me let me ask you this about this show. What would you do to improve it? Like, what would you think? Like,
I
if
love
you
it. I was
could make one change, I'll ask you the same question from the beginning.
like,
How would you improve it? How do you get that second season or third season? Excuse me. Like, like what would you do to like let's say you're a studio executive and you can do whatever you want. How would you make that show better?
Um, I mean, I think well, Game of Thrones it I guess would be the best way to describe it. It's like I think it
Just
just
throw money at it.
yeah,
Throw money.
like throw money at being honest. I mean, shorten it the season, be more self-contained. It did have that kind of like old style of like filler episode or something like that going on, but like
Cut all that
um,
away.
yeah, and I think it's like make I can't. It's been so long since I've watched it, so it's hard to really criticize it too much because I just remember loving it a lot. But I think that was really the biggest thing is like, you know, I think they were leaving too much. It was that kind of like, okay, we're going to leave. You could tell that it's going to take a while to get to your answers because it's like, oh, we're going to have this little thing dangle, but it's an adventure, it's a journey, so it's like it's going to take multiple seasons to happen. And when I found out that it wasn't going to happen, I was just like, I don't want to know anymore. It's like that was the thing that was tough about it, but you can't really change that to make a good show. You want to have that kind of like carrot on the stick to allow them to go there, but
A little
maybe
thread. Yeah.
yeah. But I think maybe they resolved too much of the first season. It was really kind of awesome how they resolved it, and that's why I liked it. But then almost made me like, well, I don't really care what's going to happen now. Now they're fighting. I think in the second season, like they're all of a sudden started fighting zombies or something like that, and it was like really weird. Like the enemy almost changes in the second season from
Huh.
what I remember from the first one. And now I'm like I don't have that kind of like passion as like I was like against the Empire or against this villain that I already knew, and then maybe
Oh,
that
so
you know what I
they
mean?
tried to change. Yeah, they tried to change it to maybe get people on
Yeah.
board with it, and
Well,
it
yeah.
wasn't not the right kind of
And
changes.
I'm sure they're following a story which made sense, and maybe they didn't present the beginning part to make it to lead up to like you have the White Walkers, which are introduced in a good way, like slowly and kind of progressively. You don't really see them that much until later on, but it's always there. It's like that kind of enemy that's sort of hidden.
Hmm.
You can debate on
The
how they,
looming threat. Yep, the
yeah, like
looming threat.
where
Yep.
like I think like in this series, from what I remember, like that threat all of a sudden just appears like out of nowhere. It's like, oh,
Oh, like it happened. Like, oh,
yeah,
cataclysm happened.
yeah.
Yep. Here we
so
go.
So I guess that's the big thing I changed. But I feel like it deserved. It's not a good. It's not a. It's a bad television show. But like I don't know if you wanted to do this because like I was like talking to this with my wife, and like Xena and Hercules. Would you consider them great shows, bad shows? What are they? Like where do they fit in this realm of bad good? It's like I mean they are kind of cheesy. I don't know if you're going to talk about it,
Look,
but I
I gotta
love
give.
them.
I will give Xena a lot of credit. I actually legit liked that show.
Yeah.
They were doing things with television that nobody was even thinking of. They like had a basically like not veiled or like weird about it. Um, like gay relationship. These two women.
Yep.
It was just like they're companions. They're partners. They go through and they go on these adventures. Like no big deal.
Yeah.
Like the way that they treated it, I always
Sure.
kind of respected because they didn't like oh, and on this episode they're gonna kiss, like because they would
Yeah.
do that.
Yep.
You remember growing up when they'd be like, oh, and then these two women are gonna kiss, like they would
Yep.
they
It
would
was
hype that shit up.
It was yeah. It was a weird. But
I liked the normality of it, like the way that they just kind of made it like, yeah, well, of course, like yeah, they love each other and they're companions, like
Sure.
this is what they do. I don't know
I
about
think
Hercules and his friend so much. You can make a case for that. I mean, they are adventuring a lot together, but I like those shows. I miss kind of shows like that where it was just like it was kind of monster of the week, but
Yeah.
you weren't worried that your heroes were going to be like in too much danger. But it was interesting enough. I feel like Firefly was a lot like that. In a similar kind of way where like they were going on they tried to like expand the story and like kind of connect the story.
But you're right. It was
With
very
a bigger
monster of
thread.
the week. Yeah. It wasn't monster, but like story of the week, right? It was like okay.
Minotaur of the week,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
Hercules,
yeah.
but it's thank you.
It was like the first
But
episode I
it's
watched of Hercules was the Minotaur episode actually. But speaking of Firefly,
I don't know. I really can't. I'd have to watch them again to really. See, but
I feel like they
I
are.
enjoyed a lot of Xena. I watched
Yeah,
a lot of Xena.
they're
I
good
will admit.
shows. They're you know there's obviously it's like I think it's just the pacing of it and just like it's that long-winded show that makes it kind of bad. It's like it almost went too long.
More talking than fighting, and a lot of times it's just like just get to the part where Hercules bops a dude on his head. Just get there. Just show me him picking something huge up. That's all I want to see.
Yeah, because they try to do a lot of those. I remember they tried to do it with that same vein, like Adventures of Sinbad, but then it like failed horribly.
Oh,
I remember I was like,
no.
oh, I was gonna watch this show, and I like Xena and Hercules. I'm like, I'll watch Adventures of Sinbad, sure. And I watched like Chips. I was like, where'd it go?
Hey, those shows also had Bruce Campbell in there as the jack of all trades.
Yes,
do you remember him with his awesome
he
mustache?
Showed up all
they
the
spun they spun his show off, and it didn't. It was like 3 episodes, and they pulled it.
Yeah.
But that would have, I wonder how that show is. I might check that out again. Jack of all trades with Bruce Campbell. But no, man, I don't know where those. I know that the Hercules: The Legendary Journeys video game for N64 is like a remarkable plagiarized version of Ocarina of Time.
Really? Okay.
You need to check it out. I forget who did it. There was somebody who did like a side by side thing. They're like, you do like the button scheme, like even the menu screens are just basically The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And there is some very similar chicken noises in there too.
That's funny.
Or cuckoo noises, if you will.
Cuckoo, yeah. You call them chickens, it's fine.
Oh, chickens. Well, Justin.
What is your next honorable mention there, sir?
It's a little show on the Travel Channel. Started back in 2006. There seems to be a little trend here to our liking of bad television in terms of when
we had more free time, so we watched bad television. That's really what it came down to.
Back in the mid-aughts, we had a lot more time for this shit. So we had my show that I want to talk about is Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern.
Okay.
So if you've never heard of it, I'll give you the premise really quick. 5 words. Weird dude eats weird food.
That's the motto?
That is the show. I don't know. I don't know what he does for a living. He's not a chef. He's not a cook. He's just a dude who likes weird food. The theme song for the show is that "How Bizarre" song by OMC. Oh, come on, Justin. Do you remember?
I don't even know.
How bizarre? How bizarre?
Oh my God, that song.
Dude, how bizarre? How bizarre? That song. That's the theme. Okay.
Think I can get away with putting that in the outro just without getting copyrighted?
Please. Well, do you think anybody really cares? But just put me going do 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 do.
Okay.
But really, like the show is not a terrible idea. It's just a weird looking dude eating food in like these.
I need a visual of this weird looking dude. What's it called again?
It's called Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern. He's got a weird name.
Oh man,
dude.
All I did was put bizarre in, and then that came up. Why is the computer listen to me? I mean, I don't understand.
It listens. I was talking to my phone.
Oh, I remember this show. I remember this dude. This guy looks familiar.
Just let that one slip by.
I didn't hear you said. What'd you say?
I said I was talking to my phone earlier in the car, telling it things to look up for me later. Like trying to, if my phone was listening in on me, as so many people believe, then I was trying to, direct it to things I was interested in. You know what I mean? I just started saying, I was like, hey, the Warriors artwork. Can you, I was just starting to like talk to my phone out loud. Yep. Like if you're really eavesdropping on me, show me ads that I want to see.
Well, I mean, it does work like, yeah, okay. Anyways, yes, Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmer. I remember the show now.
Yes. I mean, it's like on paper, it's a really good idea, I think, for a show. And in a lot of ways, it is a good show.
Yeah, I watched this a couple times, actually.
It's like all the money went into travel, though. Like, there's no good film. There's no, good filming of anything. There's no good angles. It's all just, like, steady cam. Here's him eating some weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, back then that was actually not worth it.
Around the world,
if you're seeing like all these around the world sort of like foods. Like I remember, I think he had one episode he ate bugs or something like that, or
Yeah,
roasted cockroaches or something like that.
it focuses on like stuff that people think are like delicacies or like their own like regional like specialties. And he goes. I learned so much about like food, not just in this country, but like in Asia and South America and Africa. And it was just amazing the kind of stuff that he would find, and then he himself would eat it. Like him coming from like the same persuasion of like us, like, oh my god, I can't believe you're gonna eat that. I will always give him credit because they would like pull a dung beetle out of a steaming pile of crap, and they put a little squeeze of lemon on it for extra vitamin C, and if it tastes good, he'll be like, this tastes delicious, and if not, he gags. That's the show. Like,
Yep.
that's it. He just tries to be honest. I will
funny.
give you a couple examples, and I will just leave it there.
Okay.
If you get a chance to go to his Wikipedia page or to the Wikipedia page for the show, they break down the episodes not just by like what like where he went, but there's a list of the bizarre item and then Andrew's description and or reaction to it.
I'm going.
So
there
one
now.
example.
Go ahead.
One example. Raw cow placenta.
I watched this episode. I think
not eaten. Freshwater bass, salted and fermented for 3 days. Andrew's reaction, his description of it. Smells like Limburger cheese, a sauerkraut drum, sweaty gym socks. Engages the gag reflex. Smells like the bottom of a fish bucket.
Oh,
right.
God.
Need to be careful of tiny bones. Ferocious, sour, putrid, cadaver aroma. Brutal. This is all for one thing.
Oh boy! No, I think the one I saw. I think he went. He went to Scotland. I think.
Ooh,
and what was that?
Eat haggis.
Yeah, that's
haggis is delicious, though. I got to give it credit. Haggis is actually really good. I will not. I know we have some listener or listeners in Scotland. Your haggis is delicious. I would just say it. I love it on a baked potato with some cheddar. Hell yeah!
I don't think I've ever had haggis. I didn't have had it before.
He ate a dish from France called pressed duck, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just like a duck that they crush, and then they eat the juice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember watching it and being like, "Damn, the French are brutal." But, one thing that I think you'll appreciate is
13 seasons of this show.
I don't know. I know that it was going on for a while. I don't know if it's still going.
Yeah, it says 13 seasons. No, 14 seasons.
He went to the headquarters of the Just Mayo company. I forget what their actual company name is, but it's like a young dude like our age who wanted to create like a plant-based egg. All right, so he wanted to make mayonnaise from it. So he's got this. Like, you can find it in stores now. It's like vegan or plant-based mayo, and Andrew took like a taste test of it, and he actually preferred it to Hellman's, his like go-to brand.
Wow!
And he had like chocolate chip cookies made with their eggs. They're like made just from vegetables, eggs, and he said the chocolate chip cookie was delicious. And then they made him an actual omelet from the eggs that they're making. And it actually has like white and a yolk. It's so weird looking.
Wow.
So they put it in a pan and they made a little omelet for him. And you can see like the look on his face. He's like eating it and he looks up and like the look in his eyes is so very clearly, I can't spit this out on camera. And it's his response. He's a very classy dude. He was just like, you're very close. You're close. You're very close to imitating an egg. And I don't know. This is what I really liked about this show.
Yeah.
Like, he'll try anything. Like, these people are experimenting.
It looks like the show ended in 2018. It's based on Wikipedia.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. 23 seasons, though. I mean, that's showing something that, like, people just like food and learning about food. And especially you, since that's all you've talked about. This,
so far, have you noticed the trend?
But also just, like the reality is like watching real world stuff. Like, I feel like people like that. Like, it's hard because it's easy to continue. It's easy to keep a show going without having to worry about what's this character do, like that intricacy of storytelling, right? It's like people get bored, or it's like we say, it's like you It's like, come on, just like do something different. It's like it's almost you don't want that show to kind of last 20 seasons. You know, the shows that do last 20 seasons that are fictional are like like The Simpsons, which are just like parodies of real life, right? You know, it's not. You know, you're never gonna get 20 seasons of Game of Thrones because it's a story. It has an ending.
It's got a story to tell. It knows where it's going to end.
You're waiting for the ending. That's why you
idea.
watch it. Where you watch these shows, it's like, oh, like anyone can hop at the show at any time. They don't have to watch from the beginning to get it. You know, that's why I think that's why they last so long. But.
No, man. And what's great is like every place has its own like regional cuisine. I mean, like I guarantee you, there's an episode where he was in Rochester doing a garbage plate, or you know,
I was trying to find it.
He did one in Texas, I think I remember. Or no. I don't know where it was. I forget where it was, but it was someplace maybe in the South. Oh no, Kentucky. It was called Derby Pie. It's like a chocolate and walnut pie, like in a pastry. I was like, oh my god, that sounds like the best thing ever, like the best dessert ever. Derby pie, associated with the Kentucky Derby.
Tell you, garbage plates are delicious, though. I just want to throw that out there.
But it is bizarre. You have to give it
bizarre,
that. It is bizarre,
but it's delicious.
I didn't say anything about its taste. I mean, like, what is a garbage plate? A garbage plate is just like a random assortment of ingredients that you build every time you go. Like, I'd like coleslaw, 2 hot dogs.
Hey, no, hey, I'm the expert here. I've lived here long enough now.
That was a serious hey. All right.
I think we need a break so I can order a garbage plate now. You made me very hungry in this episode.
I really want to eat some sea cucumber or whatever green mango with chili and salt. Or maybe a deep fried sparrow. All right, let's take a quick break, grab a bite, and we'll come back and talk about our final favorites. Syphilis.
Now it's working. I was like, why did it turn gray and yellow? I don't understand. It's recording now. So we're good.
I was thinking of some good mic warm-up exercises. Thinking of words that, you know, like how they do syphilis.
No, the best thing is go do 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 do.
I was thinking we could do lo medico, lo medico, lo medico. Haven't heard from that guy since our brief exchange on Facebook where he liked both of our comments.
I know.
Oh, well.
Okay. If I ever see him again, it'll be good times. That's all
I'll give him a hug.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. Let's do it.
You're bringing us back.
I'm bringing us back. Okay. Are we recording?
Oh, yeah, we've been recording. You want me to start over?
I didn't see your wavy hands. No, that's okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Alrighty, here we are, Justin, at the end of our favorite bad television shows. I'm very excited. We've had very different views on bad television, but I think we've shared these at the same time. They're like different parts of our memories, right?
Sure.
So tell me, what is your favorite?
Well, you have a little bit of a memory of this show.
Okay.
And this is the only show I could ever bring this as my favorite. It's the only show I could ever bring this up because it is a bad television show.
Oh, no.
I think you already know what I'm about to say. So this is my guilty pleasure. This show is called K-Show.
You should feel guilty for this.
So
getting a call from the authorities.
When I say bad, this is just like what happened in the show is bad, but yet amazing and hilarious and wonderful. And like to my defense, I have watched this show with my wife every episode because she enjoyed it too. So I'm not the only one. I didn't sit in a corner and watch this by myself. Because it is hilarious and silly.
You don't have to sit in a corner.
I don't know why I thought that. So if you don't know
dark and dirty place.
If you don't know what K-Show is, it is an anime. I had to bring anime somewhere into this. I mean, there's a lot of bad anime. I like
bad was in the title, so yeah. I guess you have to.
So K-Show, also known as Hip Whip Girl, just so you know.
Hip Whip Girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's what Keijo means in Japan. I don't know.
Very specific. Okay.
It says Keijo, and it's funny because like Keijo is actually Keijo with like 9 exclamation points. That's technically
the official title.
That's the official title. So I'm gonna read the premise of the show.
Please do.
Per Wikipedia. The series is set in an alternate reality where a new woman-only gambling sport known as Keijo quickly becomes a fad in Japan since the introduction in the dawn of the 21st century. Keijo matches are held atop floating platforms referred to as a land in large water-filled stadiums where swimsuit-clad players fight to incapacitate their opponents to push them out of the water, but they only can hit each other using their breasts or their buttocks.
Now you had me with like the hips and the butt, like like you're kind of like checking somebody, but I can think of a lot of women who would disagree with using their boobs as a weapon.
Well, it's an anime, so I don't.
This is true. Yes, it is an alternate reality, right?
It's also a reality. Now you've only watched one episode.
As weapons.
You've watched one episode of the show.
Don't say that out loud. Don't put me in that. No, listeners, I've never seen this. I don't know what he's talking about. If you're listening, please call the police.
So
yes, I got through most of an episode.
Most of an episode.
Maybe all of it. I don't know.
What's funny about this show is because it obviously it's a show about fan service. The anime has a ton of fan service in it. It's not unknown. It's not uncommon. It's just something that comes with anime. You're gonna have some of that. But this show is just every scene is some of that. But oddly enough, the show is relatively well thought out and well written, and there's some good characters, and there's some really awesome battles that are really hilariously designed and really funny. But it's it's because the different abilities these Keijo women have in their Keijo battles.
They play to their strengths, right?
Well, yeah, because one's got some really fast butt, and that turns into when she goes fast enough. It's like Dragon Ball Z, but just fully fan service. Okay,
just please tell me, does anyone's breasts go Super Saiyan?
I don't think so.
Do anyone's breasts go Super Saiyan?
But
oh my god, a really fast butt.
But it's just ridiculous. Obviously a lot of sexual innuendos and sexual comments of how the attacks are, all that stuff, and it's just I don't even know how to describe it. It's the only time I could bring the spotlight is in the conversation about because this is truly not designed to be good television. It's not good. It's not bad, but it's somewhat enjoyable and wonderful because it's hilarious. That's all it is.
Is it meant to be sarcastic? Is there some message behind it? Look at what gambling will do to you.
But there's it really it's your typical like I said shonen type style anime it's I need to get stronger to beat these really insane big boobs and bosses and butts and
bosses.
I'm gonna do an alliteration there just to explain it. But it's obviously you get some main characters. There's a girl that's has this dream. It's that Naruto or very positive type person that she all she cares about is just winning and fighting and doing this battle and becoming the top tier. I don't know. There's ranks and stuff in the show, and the show only is 13 episodes. Let me just say it's not this long excavating adventure of the show. It's only 13 episodes. It's only one season. That's it. That's all this is. So it's not like you're dealing with this very long. There was a cliffhanger at the end of the season, but then literally what happened is the creator's like, yeah, I'm done.
He left it as a cliffhanger. He was like, no,
He's
no
like,
more.
I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe he just
Can
realized.
you blame? Oh, okay, all right. I think this qualifies as definitely a favorite bad TV show. If the creator is like, fuck it, like screw it, I'm out, no more.
But the thing that's crazy, the show became extremely popular. It's not like it was just like this random show that I found. Okay, it wasn't just
Sure.
like I was just like, oh, let's just check this thing out. It has a girl that's hitting another girl with her hip. It's like like oh, well, this seems to be a popular show. Let's try this out. Because me and Amber, and she doesn't care if I say this. She watches stuff like this. Like it's like one of our things that we like, kind of like just like, shut our brain off and just have like a good time and just laugh about it. It's like it's
We
silly,
we,
stupid stuff. And
we call it fluff. Yeah,
fluff.
just watch some fluff.
Fluff. You're tired. You don't want to think about it, and it's just like it's comfort food, which is a weird thing to say in this conversation. But
Oh,
like,
wow. Mine's the British baking show. Don't worry, that's our fluff.
but we. And again, this is the one that I watched maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't watched a show like this in a long time, and I just like it got to the point like you thought that you understood how crazy the show was going to be, and it's like, okay, this show's about boobs and butts and them fighting on like wobbly lands and water, trying to keep their balance. But then it just got more ridiculous and more ridiculous, and then like going in a sense Super Saiyan, like you said, and like getting like special like abilities with like like being able to move a certain way to like make them confused and like almost like have a dream. That's how
Solar
crazy.
flare?
Yeah, like things like that. It was like this is like literally like a legit, like there was like this sense of like that feeling you got when you watch a show like that. It was like, oh, like I can't wait to see what crazy thing they're going to do to win, because it seemed like they're going to lose. That was really what really kind of got the show to work. But you had the humor behind it because of
What they're actually doing.
what they're actually doing. But I think it's funny that they do like hint at like how like you have to keep us like it's like one of the stars of the previous stars of the Keijo thing. Like she ends up like breaking her back, and then all of a sudden she like looks completely different and gains a ton of weight. Like she.
Oh, yeah. So they really
like,
do show you like the ugly side of sports.
The ugly side of sports.
So really, it's like a commentary on sports. It's like,
Yeah.
like, look, it doesn't matter what the sport is. You can compete, but if you get hurt, if you're putting your body, your life on the line here, and this could happen to you.
Yeah.
And,
If you want a good silly time though, this show is hilarious. It's bad. Is great though. Like
it's funny how seriously the show takes itself. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that show. She realizes she has a fast butt.
Well, you didn't miss the part where when she goes so fast, it turns into a wolf. Like that's
It turns into what?
a wolf. There's like a wolf. Like her butt has like its own like way of thinking. It's like its own entity.
So it's like Naruto, like instead of like the seven-tailed fox or whatever. It's like
I don't know.
Six-headed wolf coming out of her ass. Okay.
My other choice was completely nothing like this. By the way, it was Once Upon a Time.
What was your other one that you might have kept in there?
Once Upon a Time was the other one I had up there.
Oh, a lot of people like that show. I know your wife liked that show quite a bit.
I liked it too. I watched a lot of it. But
she liked it more.
No, she got me into it. I'll give you that.
Oh, okay. So she was the original. Gotcha.
Yeah, she started. I didn't really watch the first season at all. Like I just like somehow like fell in her watching like the later few episodes, and I'm like, huh, this is a good show. I guess I'll keep watching. And yeah, so that was the other. I was going to talk about it more, but I don't want to spend too much time about it. It's cool. It's fun. It's like kind of like Lost, but not quite. But.
Oh, okay. Does it actually have a point?
What?
Does it actually have a point? Like, does it have like a storyline that it's following?
Oh no,
or is it just like
really
random
cool.
stuff?
You never saw Once Upon a Time. You don't know what it's about.
I know what it's about. I've never watched more than a few minutes of it.
No, it's cool. I
But
mean, it's like that typical thing where it's like you kind of like are really watching it for like the backstories of like the way they handle it. It's like this is what they were like in the fantasy world before they came into the real world. So you kind of watched it for that sake. But then they kind of do like the lost stuff where they kind of change it up. It's like, oh, it's been a year since the last time we remember what was going on. This is what happened in the past year, and like you kind of like they take like the beast, but then they mix it with like Rumpelstiltskin. They kind of like
yes.
blend characters together and things like that. It was cool. Like I would talk a little bit more about it, but it's like I got kind of tired towards the end of it though because they kind of started chewing. I think they shoehorned Frozen in there because that was popular, and
Oh,
I didn't like how they handled it. It was all right. I mean, I just kind of just like didn't really care anymore after like the third season. Um,
okay.
but
So cool idea. Maybe could have been something better, but
yeah, I mean,
kind of
maybe
took
I don't
weird
know. I mean,
turns.
again, it's just like that older. It's like I don't know. It's I get tired. I get bored of things too fast with the limited time that we
Mm,
have now. Like I was
sure.
kind of curious what was going to happen, but fun fact though is that the main character in that show is the Star Trek's Kirk's mother from the movies.
Kirk's mother.
It's
Oh, okay.
the actress that plays his mother in the Star Trek movie directed by J.J. Abrams.
Oh, wow.
Just a fun
Okay.
fact. Just a fun fact.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Bad facts. Right. So good. All
What is
right.
your favorite?
Keijo finally gets its time in the sun.
I had to
Finally.
bring it up somewhere. It had to be brought up. I
Sure.
had to release the.
It's not that bad, people. It's actually pretty funny. It's just silly. It's just so silly and stupid. Like you're like, how did this even get made? But
Because it
by
was
the time
made.
you're like still questioning it, the episode's over.
It was made in
But
Japan. That's how it got made.
well, Justin, I will tell you what my favorite bad TV show is, and I don't know. You may agree with me, you may not, but my favorite bad TV show is The Price is Right.
Price is
Now let's
right.
be clear. Yes.
Okay.
Now let's be clear. I love The Price is Right,
I don't know.
but it
Are
is a
game
bad
show?
show.
I guess game shows are shows. I thought about that. But is it
Now
really? I don't know. Okay. Go.
nothing ever happens the way you want it to happen when you watch the show. It's an exercise in futility and frustration. You watch these idiots go up and make terrible bids, and when they by chance happen to get to play a game, more often than not they screw it up in such a way that drives you bananas.
Now, are you?
And
Let
if
me
you
ask.
actually get to spin the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
you know immediately they didn't spin it hard enough. Like you just it's just a game about criticizing people. Like you just watch them and you're like, you didn't do that right. Nope, I wouldn't have done that.
Are you
And if they,
specifically referring to the Bob Barker Price is Right?
it could be the Bob Barker one or the Drew Carey. It doesn't matter. The show is the same. It has not changed really at all.
True.
If one of these idiots manages to get to the showcase showdown, they're the kind of person that'll bid like $20,000 over on a showcase that has like a washer dryer combo and a set of encyclopedias. And they're like $50,000. And you're like, God damn it. No, you're not going to. Now, given all of that, it is very fun to watch. It is about watching people and criticizing their choice. But I love the games. I love Plinko.
Yep.
I love the Mountain Climber. I love Over Under. I love Over Under. Any of the games where they're like, here is a beer. How much would you say this beer is? Like any of those like grocery guessing games, like I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a very participatory show, and the kind of show that gets better when you watch with other people. So like watching it with my wife was fun. I mean, I watched it in college. Like there was a time when me and my roommate, my first few years in college, like we were both back at our room on certain days at like 11 o'clock, and we would just turn on The Price is Right, and we would just have it on in the background. And sometimes we could get like really into it, and all of a sudden I look around, and there's like 4 or 5 other people in our room watching The Price is Right with us.
I don't think
Like
I've
I don't know,
ever.
there's something about it.
I don't think I've ever watched Price is Right with other people before.
Oh,
Never
dude, it's
had.
the best. It's the best because you're like arguing with each other, and you're both right because the person on screen is an idiot. So
Did you hear about the whole thing where these two like a husband and wife that scammed The Price is Right?
No, do tell.
So I remember reading this article where they watched like so many Price is Right episodes. They figured out a strategy to win.
Ooh,
It's like
ooh, I want to.
almost like calling like numbers in poker kind of a thing. And I
Uh,
think they got all
okay,
their
okay.
winnings before, and they made it so that both of them were there, so that if one of them would get on, they both knew how to do it, or something like
Oh.
that. It's like they
See,
just
that's why you
had,
got to watch it with more people.
so they somehow okay. So I watched this. I read this article like a few years ago, and I just remember like it's like they somehow like they saw sort of a rhythm of Price is Right, and they kind of
Okay.
knew like if a game was coming up, this game would happen, and this price would happen. There was like almost like a sort of like a rhythm to the prices they would use or something like
Sure.
that. They kind of
Sure.
like found the kind of like the strategy, and he ended up like winning like all of it or something stupid like that. The guy
Wow.
that got on there, and then I
Managed to
think
get like both showcases or something.
and then he they figured that out or something like that. Like I somehow they took it away. I'm like, personally, I'm like, why did they take it away from him if he wasn't cheating? Like he was just
Hey, that's not cheating. It's not like he was getting
yeah like
inside information. You're
yeah.
saying like one of your fans watched your show long enough that he figured out how to play your game. Like
I
that's they shouldn't have taken it
yeah
away from
that's
him.
the thing. That's the one thing I was like I'd have to kind of correct myself on that article. But I remember like that was a big thing I read a few
If
years
that's the
back.
case, that's pretty dickish. Price is Right.
Yeah.
But this is why I mean, husband and wife team. Like it's better to watch. It's better to watch it with somebody so you can both play the game better than the contestants that are actually playing. I mean, it's like Jeopardy for idiots. Like
Yeah.
you're like you can. I don't believe that I could like figure out how to play it and like win on a professional scale or something. But it's really fun to yell at the television with somebody. That's
hmm
really what it's all about.
Well, are they idiots because they're on live television and they can't think because they're on this big stage and they just
That's the thing I don't ever take into consideration. I'm like the hot studio lights are on them. They've been sitting
yep.
in this studio for a while.
They
They've
didn't know
got their name called and
they
they're
didn't
like,
know they were gonna get
holy
called.
crap. Yeah, like you and your like group of friends or your family are there, and then all of a sudden you're the one that's going up. So it's like not only you, but like like your group of like the group you came with is watching you and yelling at you. And when somebody like when they say like, how much do you bid on this first item? When they're all four contestants are at
Yeah.
their like little buzzers, and everyone looks back like, how much? And they're like 2,000, 2,000, 132, 4,000. Like they're just
yeah.
yelling numbers, and it's like 2,000, and they're like no. Like you see people in the audience doing this, like
Yeah.
the hands like in their head, like oh god no, like you are just it's like you really messed something up. Like that's what kills me.
I wonder if that
The
show was
drama.
easier when it started because prices weren't as high. Like oh here's a bucket of paint and it's like, but then you got
25 cents. I don't know. I don't know how much of it actually has to do with the price of things anymore. I think like some of it does, but a lot of it is just
well
like
now
clever guessing.
maybe it's harder now because it's like well because what do they give you retail prices? That's what they give you right. They don't give
Yeah,
you
retail value
but
is
it's like but no one knows retail price anymore because everything's on sale all the time.
everything's on sale. Like oh, you
Retail
bought it
real.
at this store. Oh, it's always $5 off. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, but that show is it's not a good show because it makes you frustrated and you it's not like a show that you're like every day I must watch this. But God, it's good to just like turn it on and like sink into the couch, with like a bowl of cereal and just veg out and enjoy and
See, I watched a
yell at
lot.
people and yell at the TV.
I watched a lot when I was a kid. I haven't watched it too much when I was an adult. Really, I mean, I don't even know where I would see it. I haven't had cable in so
Well,
long.
CBS, if you get CBS All Access, you can watch every season, any
But
episode you
see, to
want.
me, like Price is Right was never a choice. It was like it's on. I guess I'll watch it.
Exactly. Between the hours of like 11 and 1 p.m., like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
but with
every day.
but
If
with
I'm
you
not
have
doing anything, sure, I'll put it on.
CBS Access, you're making that choice. You could go somewhere else.
Oh, believe me, making that choice is a very ironic. Like, come on, let's watch The Price is Right. It'll be fun. And Kristen telling me, like, really? we're gonna watch a whole episode. I'm like, it'll be fun. And then we watch a whole episode. She's like, I can't believe you wasted time on this. Like walking to bed, like upset, like can't believe I let you.
How
convince
long
me
is
to
the
watch
show?
Price is Right. I think it's only like an hour. I think it's an hour show.
Is it an hour-long show? Like, well, 40 minutes with commercials, right?
Yeah, it's probably
Ish.
like 38 minutes though, with the amount of commercials that they stick in there.
A
For
lot
old
happens.
man cream.
A lot happens in 38 minutes though in that show.
God, they don't play Plinko long enough. I'll tell you that. And Mountain Climber, love that game. Love seeing him go over the edge though. That's my favorite one. Like he's going over. Like,
if you want to, if game shows are free game, there's so many Nickelodeon game shows they can throw into this show. But I won't.
Oh man, we could talk about Nick Arcade. That's a bad show that we wanted to all like.
Or what would
we wanted
you do?
It to be great.
What would you do?
Oh, what would you do? Oh my God! I hated that show.
I was in the audience for that show. I went there. I was in there. I was there because I went to Disney.
Nickelodeon Studios?
Yeah,
in Orlando, Florida.
I was in the audience for that one time. I didn't get on the stage.
Did you get slimed when you were there?
No, I didn't get slimed. But no, you can go crazy with the different the things out there for the.
Now I got to ask you, Justin. I have to ask you to bring this episode full circle. After we've shared our favorites here, my last question for you is: if the show that you called your favorite, Kaiju, if it's canceled, which it is, or I guess, would you bring it back for another season? Would you want to see another season of it?
Definitely, absolutely.
Of the ones that we've talked about today, which ones would you want to come back for another season? So Kaiju, absolutely, yes. Your other honorable mentions, would you bring them back?
Imagine
Netflix is giving everything the green light again.
I don't care about Road Rules. I wouldn't bring that back.
No,
that had enough season. That had time to shine.
Sure.
Legend of Seeker, I would want them to redo the second season, or just actually, I prefer a remake of the Legend of Seeker.
Reboot it altogether.
Yeah, just reboot it. But like, you got too many fantasy things coming out there. So, would I want another season of it to continue it? No. But would I mind it being rebooted? Yes, I would be okay with that. Sure.
Fair enough. As I mentioned before, Hell's Kitchen is still going, so no problems there. But I would bring back Andrew Zimmern for another season, and however many seasons he wants to do, because that show is awesome.
And Price is Right will never go anywhere.
Price is Right is still going. No, it will never.
What about the X-Men animated series, though? That's supposedly coming back, I think.
If it comes back, well, I mean, there have been other X-Men animated series since then.
Yeah, but I think they're actually
one.
speaking with the X-Men animated people, the creators, like it's to continue.
Really?
That. Disney Plus is supposedly. I don't know.
Wow. Well, I'm sure it will be okay.
But
I'm sure it'll be overwhelmingly fine.
Overwhelmingly fine.
Okay. Yeah. It'll be like, oh, good.
One other shout out I had was I didn't have a lot to say about it. Was that Lois and Clark? They mentioned Superman. I just wanted to throw that out there, just because I love that show.
Just wanted him to be Superman. I didn't want the Lois part.
I like that part. I don't know.
I wasn't ready for that kind of show yet. Nowadays, I would have appreciated it, but back then, I was like, "Why isn't he Superman all the time?" All right, Justin. This has been fun.
Yeah,
this has been quite the trip down memory lane for both of us.
I'm surprised how much food we talked about. I'm so hungry.
Yeah, I know. I'm starving.
Go get a garbage plate.
We could really go for some pressed duck right now. But all right, Justin. Do you want to tell them what we're doing next week?
We're gonna do our favorite Pixar movie.
Heck yeah. It's gonna be fun. That catalog's pretty huge nowadays.
Yeah, we did Disney this season. We did Studio Ghibli, which was a great episode. Thank you for everyone listening to that one. Thank you.
Yeah, can we do another one of those, please?
Yeah, we'll do all the other ones that weren't made by Miyazaki. We'll just like Studio Ghibli Part 2, not Miyazaki.
The non-Miyazaki one. Oh boy.
But no, we're gonna do favorite Pixar movie, which there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them to pick from.
Yeah. And I think I already know my favorite, though, to tell you the truth.
I think I'm pretty sure I do as well. But who knows? Things change.
Yeah, gotta do some research and we'll find out.
That's right. But until then, this is
Justin. This has been Playing Favorites. I'm Paul.
I'm Justin.
I'm sorry.
Bye.
Bye bye.